Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You're back at the spot, my place, where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, there she is, and the responses are never dull. Today, we have Saidi Bess.
Hello.
This will be a very interesting, mature conversation. Again, we're talking about sacred sexuality. Sex is good, and if it's not good for you, I feel for you. You can make it better. You can make it better. You can get rid of those limiting beliefs. You can get rid of the naysayers. You can be explorative. You can dial 1-800-DOLLAR-FREAK, whatever it is that makes you happy. But again, sex is something that the Creator gave us to connect. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And we can be uninhibited. We can explore different options and not be afraid. What is holding you back? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some unhealthy sexual things as well, because people go from a flicker to a flame and their mind is, in a different place, how they can get some help for that, how they can work through that. We're going to talk about all that and then some. So let's welcome her to the edge. How are you, Sadie?
I am so good. Thank you. What a beautiful introduction. Hello, Brains. So happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here because we're going to get down and dirty. I want to go back a little bit so we can kind of lay the framework and the groundwork. You formerly were working in the sacred sexuality area, but in addition to that, now you've been able to transition and help others. Explain what that is and your role in it.
Sacred sexuality, what that is?
Yes.
Yeah, for me, that means just helping us, like you mentioned in the intro, really working with our belief systems, because growing up in this kind of Christian dominated society that's really put a lot of sin and shame on our bodies and our sexuality. We're all trying to kind of move through that and find ourselves. And it's given us a lot of, like Eve is the originator of sin. That's a lot for women to take on, right? And it's just so embedded in our society. Even if you didn't grow up Christian or that's not your thing, that's the society we live in. And sex is really confusing. It's like things are either hypersexualized or they're like, no, don't have sex at all. So it's just like trying to find, like, move through our own shame and guilt.
Awkward sexual beliefs, certain paradigms, and it's not just in Christianity.
No.
There are Buddhists that abstain. There are Jewish people that have different religions, religious belief. It's the sacrament. I think it is understanding what sex is. It's pleasure. It's a stress reliever. It is creativity. It's also an energy and a life force. And it is also a reproductive process, because I don't care what you do, you still need an ovary and you still need some sperm to make a baby. And however you opt to do that, and that's your choice, but you still need those two key components. And once they come together, the first thing that happens is a heartbeat. That's the Creator.
Yeah.
So you've got people that've got these weird tangents. You've got pedophiles. You've got abusers. You've got rapists. You've got just a whole warped sense of what this controlling energy of sex does. What do we do with all of that? I mean, people say, oh, well, we'll chemically castrate this individual, and women too. We're not just talking about men,
Right, right,
but
right.
it's the psychology is in the mind. I don't understand that. That's a scary thing.
Yeah, and I think that's what happens with so much repression of the sexual. It starts coming out sideways, and that's not for everybody, of course, but for people that who knows what their history was, who knows what their childhood was like, who knows what energies they came in with, inherited from previous generations. So it's going to affect all of us differently. Maybe it's just working through some limiting beliefs, or maybe it's going to that extreme, and taking it there. But that is exactly what happens when things get so repressed and so demonized and villainized and vilified, villainized. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah, it comes out sideways, and it's just not a healthy thing, which is part of that's just a social, a social issue. I feel like it's yeah, it's going to affect everybody differently,
Yeah,
but that
and then you look at people that purchase, purchase love,
yeah,
purchase sex as
yeah,
release. Brains, don't shame those individuals. The sex trade has been going on since the turn of time.
yeah,
But what people have to understand is a lot of times, or sometimes, it's not just the sex act. It's the fact of having someone to release to, someone
yeah,
to understand, someone that you don't have to be accountable to.
right,
You
yeah,
know,
there's
it,
there's
it
so much.
it's a release. There is a lot there. So there's people that have been abused. They've been sexually tormented. They've been raped. They've been vilified. How do you work with these individuals to figure out where they are on the spectrum and what they need to try to heal?
That isn't exactly the type of work that I do. I mean, I so many people that let me how to rephrase this. It is kind of amazing how many people are dealing with sexual abuse. So I guess I was thinking of the men that I work with, but there's a lot of men that are dealing with sexual abuse as well. And why I don't get into the psychology of it, and I don't work with at that level, I do a lot of energy work and energy healing. And so, really working to kind of break up those energies and the traumas that are stuck in the body, but really kind of bypassing the mind and bypassing the story of it. Because when we get locked into story, we kind of get stuck in that. So, I bypass all of that with energy work and doing. Also the sacred sexuality, just helping people to have a safe space to explore without judgment, without the weird beliefs, without guilt or shame. So really holding space for people. And for women, really looking at there's a lot of inherited trauma that women have taken on, and then we take on our own traumas as we go through life. So many of us are working with the sexual abuse issues. There's some sort of sexual assault, something, but that is really, um, again, working with the energy of it to release the trauma from the body, but then going into working with victim consciousness and trying to reframe that, release the victim consciousness, get back into our power. And because when we stay in the victim consciousness and we blame and we shame and we stay in that anger and that rage around those experiences, we're just keeping ourselves in hell, basically. So,
Right.
the more we can release that and move beyond that and let it go. And I'm not saying that's an easy process, but it's a necessary one, because otherwise we're just going to be trapped in that our whole lives, which affects us mentally, emotionally, spiritually, affects us physically with disease in the body when we keep that anger trapped inside of us and we keep moving from that place. So a lot of it is, yeah, releasing the energy, getting into the body, releasing the victim consciousness, releasing the unhealthy belief systems, and empowering ourselves to find a new way and create our own reality and our own new experience of sexuality.
Right. And a lot of men don't talk about this.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
don't feel that it's very machismo, to
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about, being a victim or being shamed or being shy or, not being able to have an erection, and they
Right.
don't talk about those type of things. But you're not alone, brains. You are not alone. There's a lot of people that do that, and they don't talk about women that are very aggressive. There's women that are sexual abusers,
Right.
have sexual assault that that they project on other individuals. So it's a lot, and it's very complicated. How did you find yourself in this space doing this work?
I've always been a very sensual person and always very drawn to sex and the sexuality, passion, and connecting with others. And I found early on, just having connection with people and engaging in sexual experiences really gave me an experience of communing with God. It would just take me to another place, and I felt this love and connection and kind of divinity within it, and an expansion, just a real expansion of myself and my energies, and just kind of a bliss and ecstatic experience. And I wondered, like, is my partner experiencing the same thing? Is it just me? And sometimes I didn't want to talk about that because it felt a little strange, but
Well, it is.
so
It's very euphoric.
yeah, it is. It
And,
is. It
and I
is.
ask people all the time, I say, okay, there are countries where the king has 3 or 4 wives. No problem. He
Right.
runs the country, he runs the commerce, he provides for his village. Does that make him a bad leader because he has multiple sex partners? I think where we become prudish in the United States is, number one, we're uptight about, sex, teaching our children, having that conversation. Um, you can talk about the nose, the eyes, the throat, the ears, but you can't talk about the penis, anus, and vagina.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
don't know. I don't understand why.
Yeah, so
But we're
much.
so prudish here that we feel that, oh, that this man has had this sexual indiscretion, and so we have to kick him out of office. He just can't rule.
Right.
No, I think what happens is the lack of integrity. I think the lying. I think the disrespect to your partner and not
Yeah.
allowing them to be a part of that decision.
And that's a big piece of what I'm really passionate about is helping us to it's at this point of the game, we need to revisit this monogamy. We need to revisit what we really want out of our sexual experiences and connections with people, what we want out of marriage. What the model that we've been given, the monogamy, one person for the rest of our lives, just isn't realistic. But it's all we've been given. So we haven't tried anything else. We don't know what else works. And this isn't to say that I think polyamory would be the answer for everybody.
That's too much
But
work for me. I've been married
yeah,
39
totally.
years. And I tell people all the time, I said, I wish a woman would approach my husband. I scratch that bitch's eyes out. but my thing is I like monogamy, but I've kissed many frogs before I found a prince. I
Right.
knew what I liked and I knew what made me feel good. But this
That's it.
polyamorous relationships and that's a lot of work mentally.
It is. It is. I don't that doesn't appeal to me either. But what I'm trying to say is, previously for women especially, you stay a virgin until you get married, and then and men too, like that's the model, like you're supposed to just wait and have that one person and stay together forever, and that's it, like
Right.
it's just not realistic, and that leads to us exploring other things, because not just that, but our way of doing relationship is very skewed, and we come in with all our inherited weird patterns, and it just gets crazy, and we need to you know reimagine what this all looks like, and what monogamy is a great model if it works for you. It just doesn't work for everybody. It's the only model we've been given, and that's like, if it's good for you, that's awesome. But when it's not, and you don't have anything else, then you're just kind of screwed as you try to explore, like, well, what do I need? How do I even have a conversation with my partner about this? Because it's been so ingrained, and any moving away from that or trying something different is like the biggest threat to the relationship, to the foundation, to society. It's just like,
Yeah. No,
that
yeah, I get it. If you like it, I love it. If it works for you and you can do it. But there's some boundaries and there's some rules with everybody. You got to be safe.
Absolutely.
You got to
Yeah.
be clean. You got to be respectful.
Yes. Yes.
There's certain paradigms, but that's where it gets convoluted
Yeah.
because people say, "Oh, okay, well, let's try this menage a trois," and then the two chicks start liking each other, and then the guy is out of it. You're not supposed to be with her if I'm not there, and all of these other set of rules and paradigms. So you
Yeah.
have to be very mature.
Yeah, because that's all coming from a fear-based place, when we're coming to this, any of our experiences, and that's what I'm trying to help people to work with is releasing so much of the fear that we bring into our experiences and come from a place of love and just wanting to connect. And then there's no need to be so clingy or attached or have so many expectations of what it needs to look like, when we're more free and open, then we can explore without feeling like, oh, this partner has to be with me and nobody else, or, I'm losing love. It's coming into ourselves and the self-love and loving ourselves and being so confident in ourselves that we don't need somebody else to make us whole, and if that's what ends up transpiring, it's just like, okay, that's good. I don't, why would we want to be with somebody who's not wanting to be with us, So,
Right. And having the conversation with the person that you're with about your needs, about your wants, about your desires, about,
that's huge. Yeah.
about wanting to, let's try something a little different. Yes, I don't know why you're embarrassed. You've been with this person.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to think of you a different way. Well, then what was their sincerity from the onset? What did they think about you from the beginning? Are you very vanilla or are you, Neapolitan? Do you like many flavors?
And we think our partner is going to stay the same forever when we get married or we connect with somebody like that's it. We have to allow for growth and expansion and change, and we need to be willing to grow with our partner and be open to different explorations. If we lock into that one thing, that's going to cause a lot of heartache and suffering when one of us begins to change or, want to expand. We as human beings want to expand that's and grow and change. That's just the nature of us. And if one wants to hold on tight to something and the other one's trying to expand and like, hey, it's something, I'm curious about some other things, or and maybe even just curious about things within the relationship, like let's try out some new stuff, new ways to enjoy pleasure.
Let's
And
watch a video.
exactly, exactly. It can be that simple, but if one person's locked into something, that's going to cause a lot of heartache. So, yeah, we just need to be more uh open to the growth and the change that occurs in a relationship. And that's the beauty of it growing.
But that it's fear. It's fear that,
Exactly.
okay,
That
yeah,
fear
it's the fear
again.
that, that they're going to like something different, that this is going to be required of me all the time,
Yep.
that this is totally against my beliefs.
Yeah.
I never would be in this situation if it hadn't been for XYZ. So
Right.
again, like I said, you have to be mature about
Yes.
that. And
Yes.
but also know your boundaries. Now, there's just some things I'm not going to be down with.
Absolutely.
And,
Right?
and, it's, and it's okay to say, baby, you pump your brakes on that. I'm not for that.
Totally.
That's okay too. And the person that you're with needs to be able to respect that. But in the
Totally.
back of your mind, know that this is a desire and a want of that person.
Yeah.
So, there's no hidden agenda. So I see that you are a very eclectic, free spirited kind of woman. Tell me a little bit about the body art. You got the nose piercing, you got the tattoo.
Yep, yep,
What does
yep.
that symbolize about you?
I just love being in this human body and I love adorning it and decorating it and expressing in that way. And I love jewelry. It's just so much fun. So, if I had more things to pierce, I would, but And I don't have everything pierced. Some things I don't want pierced, but yeah, I just love adorning and decorating, and yeah, it's fun.
Well, as
It's
long as it makes you happy, that's,
really,
that's beautiful.
yeah,
People people try to create a judgment, you know,
yeah.
by the outward appearance without even giving you a chance to look at your heart, to listen to your conversation,
Yes,
to be
yes.
welcomed into your soul. So, brains, be careful about judging a book by its cover because you just don't know. So, let's ask you some fun questions about you.
Go.
Okay. If you were a car, what kind of car would you be?
Mm. I would be I used to have this car and she was so much fun. It was a little BMW Z4. She was just a great little adventure. Very sexy car.
Okay. Quick and slick. I get it. What
Yeah.
planet are you from, Sadie?
Planet? That would be Pluto.
Yeah,
Yep, all about death, rebirth, change, and transformation, or
I get it.
spiritual evolution. Yeah, 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 for
Yeah.
sure.
I'm from Jupiter. I dig the rings.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like it to be out there. If you could time travel,
Mm.
what period or era would you travel to?
I would travel to Earth in 100 or 200 years to see where we're at and how much we're rocking it out, after all this transition we're going through. Yeah, to see the beauty, to see humanity evolve in its consciousness. I'm excited about that.
I agree with you on that. I would go to the future too. So many people want to go back in time. Been
Nope, nope,
there, done
nope.
that. Nope,
Over
I
it.
want to go. Yeah,
Been there, done that. Yeah.
I'm futuristic. If you were an appliance in the kitchen, what appliance would you be?
Wow. Awesome. I think the first thing that comes to me is the oven, let's cook it up. Let's heat it up. Yeah.
That is cool. That is cool. I think I'd be the refrigerator. I just want to chill.
Nice. Fun.
If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
Whoa, that's a big one. Okay, no, yep, a whale. I'd be a whale swimming in the ocean, deep diving. Yeah, peaceful, calm, serene, gorgeous, flowing. Yeah, yeah. Yep.
I straight up be the party animal. I want to rock it out.
I love it.
I want to just get down and dirty. So,
Nice.
what do your clients have to look forward to when they come to work with you?
One of the biggest things I am able to offer is receptivity of the feminine, for and speaking for my male clients, because men really want to give their energy and share what they have to offer. And in our society, women have really shut down and aren't able to receive that energy. So part of what I offer is just really being able to receive them fully, all that they have to share. I've discovered men are extremely sensitive, emotional, gorgeous beings with so much to offer, but they may not know how to offer it to women or to whoever. They can be a little, maybe unrefined or aggressive sometimes, or and not even aggressive. I don't know. Maybe just um I don't know. The women are just we're really in a defensive place. We're really working to open ourselves up to receive. We've just been in a masculine society for too long. We've gotten very masculine ourselves, so it's hard for us to receive that energy. So something I offer is really being able to receive and hold a safe space for men to really just bring all of themselves and to share fully.
Exactly. Well, to be able to open yourself up, to have that experience, to be able to even have the conversation is huge.
Yeah.
Recognizing that you have a need, that you have a desire, that you have a passion.
Yeah.
And if it is what you know is not right, pedophilia, rape,
Yeah.
uh, get help.
Right.
Absolutely get help. Because you know that there's nothing attractive about a child 5 to 12 years old. You realize the damage that you're doing to that individual. When you violate someone and somebody says no, even if you're married to them, no is no. I don't want none. I don't like it. This
Right.
hurts. This is painful. This is disrespectful. Honor that. And if it's something that you desire, have that conversation with your partner. I know I was working in the cosmetics department, and I'll never forget this woman had come in, and she was a regular customer, and she sat in my chair and she said, "I'm going to sit here. Will you make me pretty?" And I said, "Well, I don't have a lot of work to do." She says, "Yes." She says, "I just came from chemotherapy." She says, "And I'm terminally ill with cancer.
Mm,
My husband is stepping out on me.
mm,
What do I do?" Well, hell, I thought she just wanted some lipstick and some eyebrows put on. I didn't know I was going to have to go down to the conversation. But as
right.
we got to talking, I asked her, "Were all your needs met? Is he there to, take you to the doctor, your medical needs taken care of? Is you have a roof over your head?" She says, "Yes." She says, "But when I take off this wig and I unrobe, I've got all these scars on my body. I'm not attractive. I look a certain kind of way." And, she allowed me to have a candid conversation with her. And I said, "Okay, but what about his needs? What about his desires for passion and love and intimacy? You're throwing up in the side of the bucket there. You're not looking your best. He's still there for you. Where does the rubber meet the road?" And
Yeah.
for some reason, she went and she had a conversation with him. And she came back and she told me that she had had a conversation based upon our conversation, and that she was allowing certain things to transpire in their marriage. She just didn't want to know about them, and she didn't want to be disrespected,
Yeah.
and that he committed to be with her and honor her until the day that she died, but he still had needs and he still had desires. And I
Right.
will never forget, I get teary when I think about it. I will never forget that conversation, because of course, she came to me for consultation. uh, I don't know if I would be able to be that mature in that situation, even talking through that with her. You have to be there. But I thought that was so brave.
Yeah.
I thought that was so brave that he was able to niche in whatever he could. And she was able to know, but not know, and not let it impact her and live the rest of her life complete. That was a beautiful story,
Yes.
you know.
Had I've had exactly some clients just like that, that was just like they love their partners and that no interest in leaving them, but also this desire, but they wanted to be able to explore that in a very contained, safe way with lots of boundaries. It wasn't like going out to the bar and hooking up with somebody. It was just like going with a just very specific, very controlled environment that wasn't going to get out of control. It wasn't about emotions being involved. It was just, it
Or a
was,
betrayal. I'm not
yeah,
trying to betray
exactly.
you,
Exactly.
but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
also I have a need and I have a desire, and
Yes, yes,
I,
yes.
that person didn't feel that they should have to sacrifice their
Right.
entire life, you know,
Yeah.
their entire life. You don't know how much longer this person's going to live. They've been, married to you for 20 years. You can tell that they're not happy. It's going to cause resentment. And do you want to go out like that? I don't
No,
know.
and it actually supports the relationship too. When the person is able to get their needs met, they can take the pressure off the partner and just like, okay, because again, they have no interest in leaving. They love their person, but yeah, they have these needs. They just don't want to give it up completely, but they also don't want to give up their partners. So it's like, how do we work with this? And this is a very safe way for that. And yeah, so thanks for bringing that into the conversation because that's a really important key piece. We shouldn't have to deny that much of ourselves. Our sexuality is huge life force energy in us, and to shut that down, then you're frustrated, you're upset, you're bitter, you're angry. It's coming out sideways with your partner. So it's going to come out anyway, it's just not healthy, really. So yeah, totally,
I
totally.
had another conversation with another friend of mine, and she was saying that, when is it the right time to re-engage in a relationship after your spouse has died? And I said, everybody grieves differently. There's no
Totally.
time, there's no timeline. Sometimes you need that other person to be your crutch and your support to get you through what you've been through.
Right. Yeah, right
You want
away.
to deal with the
Absolutely.
familiar. You want someone that knows you, that you don't have to put on airs for, that you have to conform to their way of thinking. They
Yeah.
take you 100% at who you are. And so what you have to be careful is the naysayers and the undue influence and prejudice of other individuals on the outside looking in, because nobody knows you like you.
Right. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yes, trust your own needs and try to be discerning about who you share that with, because yeah, some people are not going to be helpful at all.
You have been a wealth of information. Thank you so much for being on the show with me, Sadie. Please tell
Thank
my friends
you.
how to get with you, male or female, if you are really into, you know, the sanctity of sexuality, exploring that, having a conversation. Again, she's not a quote unquote therapist, but if you need to go to that level, I'm sure that there's referrals and people that she can talk to. But to just kind of get the basic onlay, just to kind of put the first layer on that cake.
Great. Yes, you can find me at www.sensuallystar.com. That's for men, and for women, www.healingsacredfeminine.com.
Okay, brains, go in and check out, the pulse of your sexuality. See where it's beating. See if it needs a jolt.
Right?
Or maybe you need to dial back, because to abstain is also very stimulating as well, to understand the discipline of of being abstinent and not caving into that sexual desire. It can be confusing, it can be distracting, it could be harmful, but we want to be joyful right here on the edge. Thank you so much, Sadie, for being here.
Thank
Brands, I
you.
need you to go to like, love, share, follow, and subscribe. Please like, love, share, follow, and subscribe right there on the edge, the place where the conversation is pointed, the sex is hot, and the responses are never dull. Thank you, baby.
Thank you. Thank you, Brains.
All right.